folks. You are listening to Women Emerging Fearlessly. Did you know that 4 out of 5 women struggle with confidence and knowing who they are? This show is dedicated to helping women lead their lives with fearless confidence and to know how amazing they truly are. In this show, you will hear from women who are emerging fearlessly, who have overcome many obstacles to pursue their dreams and passions, and they will inspire you and encourage you to stand up, step out, and speak up. Be your authentic self and bring your true gifts to the world. My name is Janelle Anderson, and I am your host. If you enjoy this podcast, please leave a great review and subscribe and share it with your friends. Enjoy the show. Hey, well, welcome everybody to this episode of Women Emerging Fearlessly. This is your host, Janelle Anderson, and I am the CEO and founder of Emerging Life Coaching, and super excited to be here with you today with another episode of Women Emerging Fearlessly. And I have with me a guest, and her name is Kristin Walker. And Kristen and I have actually been friends, and she's been in some of my programs and has been in my world now for a few years. And we've really gotten to know each other, and she's just amazing, the passion she has and the things that she's doing in the world. So I'm very excited to be introducing you to Kristin today. She is a national board certified early childhood specialist committed to being a part of the improvement in her community. And as a member of the National Association for Family and Community Education, she has volunteered countless hours in serving the needs of local children and families. Her research about the brain has driven her to reach out to families, helping them traverse the terrain of teenagehood triumphantly. And she's the author of a new book just coming out called Living Life Awake. And it's going to be released this summer. So I'm really excited to have you here on the show today, Kristin.
Thank you. Thank you so much for inviting me. This is an amazing experience when I consider the state that I was in when I first met you.
Yes, you have come a long, long ways, and we'll be sharing some of the things you have overcome to emerge fearlessly, because I know a lot of what you've battled through, and it's so cool to see you here looking so healthy and shining. You know, those of you that are just listening, this video will be available at some point, but she is just glowing with just a vitality. I mean, compared to where she was even a year ago. So we'll share a little bit about that. But first, let's talk about your book. Why did you write Living Life Awake? Tell us a little bit about the book.
Well, I have to take you back with me in a car ride. I'm driving home from work and I see this billboard that has some young adults that could almost pass for teenagers, and they're engaged in the social activity of advertising an alcoholic beverage. And it just went through me. Well, I had tweens at the time, and I knew based on my background as a teacher and the research in the brain, I knew how impressionable and vulnerable they were to this advertising. And I began to think of all of the things that could influence them. And I thought, I have to do something. So I took my mom heart and my training and research in the brain. I put it together and I gave birth to this book, Living Life Awake. Use the knowledge of your brain to create a mind prepared for your future.
Wow. That is so super powerful. And as a teacher myself, you know, I have 20 plus years. My first career was teaching. I taught elementary and middle school. So, you know, the tweens, and I agree with you. They're so impressionable. And in our world right now, you can see the effect that media is having on them and on as they develop their opinions and their values and who they are, you know, and it's so important to teach them how to be in control of that themselves and be aware. So I love this. idea and this book that you've created for teenagers so that they can understand what's going on and not be swayed. They can stand in their own, power, really. And at a young age. I know my younghood, my late teens, early 20s were very much influenced by other people. And it really did have an effect on most of my adult life until I was able to deal with it. But to be able to help young people be in control of their destiny, basically, and to understand that that's really needed. It's very much needed. So congratulations on that.
Okay. Yeah. And right, being in control and being able to release yourself from all the negativity, because there is a lot of that. And to be able to understand how your mind works, you can actually help alleviate a lot of that. And a lot of what I had learned, I had applied for myself. That's one of the things that attracted me to your platform, your program, was I knew I needed to feed myself positive things in the condition that I was in. And I was attracted to what you had. And
awesome.
What a wonderful journey it has been.
Yes. And I'm so glad that you've been in my world all this time. So tell us a little bit about how your book helps teenagers, and it also helps parents. So let's dive a little bit into, what that book will be doing to help parents and teenagers.
Yeah, I start out with just first sharing how the brain works, just basically. It's not all of the latest research, but it is just the basic facts that we know of how we learn. And in the book, I explain that you don't have to know all this stuff, but you have to understand that everything that I share is just concrete and biological. And so I help them make a paper brain, if you will, help them reflect on what it is they want and who they are and the skills that they have and what they want to develop, and put that all in writing and be able to constantly focus on that, because what the brain is exposed to, it is drawn to and feels that it is good. And so the more that you're focusing on that, the more that you can become the true you. And then as we become that, there's difficulty as well. So I have in the second part of the book is called The Immune System for the Soul. And it helps you, as you said, traverse through the tyranny of teenagehood, right? And for all of us, it helps us protect our soul, because in today's age, there's so many germs around. We're concerned about COVID.
Right.
We've had germs around us all the time, but our physical, biological immune system has a pattern to help us even prevent us from having germs that we come in contact with. We don't even realize it. And so I thought, what if we created an immune system for our soul that we can have stuff going around us that is not good and yet doesn't affect us internally? And so that's the second half. The first half says, let's look at who you are. Let's look at what you want. Let's make sure you get there. And if you get off track, let me show you how you can get on track. In the meantime, while you're going through this difficult life, this is how you can view life in a way that it won't hurt you so much emotionally.
That's beautiful, because you cannot control what's happening out there. You can only control how you're perceiving it and how you relate to it and how you react to it. And that really empowers people. That's the power of being, behind the steering wheel of your own life. Like, these things are going to come at you. Life is going to be a challenge many times, but to be able to stand firm in that place, like, okay, I know how to respond to that. I know how I want to, react to that. That's huge. That just sets those teenagers like way ahead.
It does. And you mentioned that, parents can benefit from it as well. Well, not only, I have benefited from this as an adult. This did not first come in my teenage years. I applied all of this as an adult, and what it did to help me as my children grew is I was able to understand them better. And it's so helpful. Now, just last night, I am going to school still. I think I've been a full-time student all my life, working on my master's. I'm almost finished, and I had completed assignment. I put my heart and soul in. I partially misunderstood the assignment, and I got feedback from the professor, and I had to change a lot of things. And that was disheartening. That was disheartening. Sure. And that's not the first time that it is done, and that it has happened. But I had to realize I'm not a perfect being, and it is okay to learn. If I had taken the attitude of, gosh, I'd spent so much time on this, I'm such an idiot for not understanding it or whatever, and
right,
bash myself for that, or just pity myself for it. I wouldn't have been able just to focus in on just improving it and moving on. And honestly, things do happen. And I love how in your program, one of the things we talked about is that it's natural to feel this way. And it's just that we don't want to stay in that place forever.
Right.
Things do happen, and it does hurt our feelings, or frustrated, or cause feelings of anger. And those all have signals for us that something's not right, and to move us to action. But it's okay to feel that way. We don't have to be, this is not about, let's just have a positive attitude and put a smile on our face. That's not what this is about at all.
No, not at all. And understanding your emotions is huge. Understanding that they are not something good or bad. I think often we feel bad for feeling a certain feeling, and then we beat ourselves up because we shouldn't be feeling sad or angry or frustrated right now. And you're just feeling an emotion. It's just a part of who we are, and our emotions do show us things that are happening. They're things that we can learn from. We can get information. Why am I feeling this way? What's causing this? And I like how you talked about, you got that feedback on that assignment, right? And you had an emotional reaction to it initially, which is totally normal. It's totally normal to feel that way when you've worked on something really hard. And then you realize, oh, I misunderstood. And, you could go down that road of feeling like a failure and a loser and beat yourself up. And maybe you do initially, but then you stopped and said, wait a minute, what can I learn from this? How can I use this information and, improve myself and grow from it? And that's really all that our emotions help us do, is to see, what's happening right now. I'm reacting to something. You create your own emotions. And so that means that if you create them initially, then you can change them if you want to. But that's, emotional intelligence is a huge area that, now is really big. And they use that a lot in corporations and other places. And maybe they're using it in schools more. I hope so. Because if we don't understand our emotions, we can just let them carry us away, right? We can be overwhelmed by them and then just get caught up in the reaction instead of taking the information in, looking at it, understanding it, and then choosing, how do you want to show up here? How do you want to feel?
Right. And our body does that. And actually, with the condition that I had, for your listeners, when Janelle talks about how I was 3 years ago, I had fallen, and it had created in my body some damage that I didn't fully understand, and I thought it would go away. And I hated when I first fell, well, about 3 days later, 3 or 4 days later, my body was in pain, and to be touched, it was really hard. And I just ignored it. I thought, well, I'll get better. It'll go away. And so I went on, but my health began to deteriorate, and I got weaker and weaker, to the point, and to put a long story short, to the point where I was incapable of taking care of myself. And I could tell the muscles were contracting and strangling me around my lungs. And we later found out here just within the last month that what happened was, whenever I fell on my foot and my hand, it triggered my nerves to be hyperactive to touch, central sensitivity. And so it kind of like if you were to touch something hot and it'd pull your muscles back, my muscles were constantly resisting touch. And I had ignored in the beginning that something was not right. I continued to do it. I didn't listen to those signals, and I deteriorated. And so the same thing with our emotions. Our emotions are a response to what's in our brain and mind that says something's not right. And we can look to say, am I perceiving something's not right, or is something really not right?
Exactly. And of course, it can be good emotion. Well, I don't want to put a label on emotions, but emotions that are uplifting and telling us that everything's great,
Yes.
So yeah, no, that's a really good point, to tie the emotion to, am I perceiving it as this way, or is it really this way? And to be able to step back and look at what's happening and read your emotions and read the situation, and then look at other perspectives. What's another way to look at this? Those are all really great techniques to help you stay out of that, what I call that whirlwind of reaction, where you're just emoting and you're just reacting and your mind is offline. You're not thinking.
Yeah. This just has saved me so much in as a parent and as a wife, because there are some things that I would do that my husband might not understand, but there have been things that my husband has done that it's causes like a negative thing because I have perceived it wrong, and I'll step back and then I'll realize the motivation or the whole story. And had I immediately responded, it would have been a sad situation that we'd have to deal with. But it was never an issue because I was able to go, no, wait a second. This is my brain is perceiving it this way, but what's going on in his world?
Exactly. And so that helps relationships so much, right? It really helps us to communicate better and to be open to seeing things from another point of view. So tell us about parents. This book is not just for teenagers, right? Parents can use it, and it can help them with their relationships with their children and spouses, obviously. So how can this book help parents?
Yeah, the book is written with the intent to talk to the teenage world. And I will definitely have to improve upon it to reach their heart. So a parent or adult can read it, understanding how to apply it for themselves. For example, just any goals that we have adults, we can apply it, because it's all about finding out what you want and sticking to it. And that's another reason why the book was able to come to fruition, because I've been working on this, and my kids were tweens and now they are married in their 20s.
Wow.
And I have used this information with my family and in the community. But as far as the book itself printed, 20 plus years. So I found this is a huge thing. We've just been talking about our emotions and how they're a signal. Well, you know what? Once they send the signal and say to you, hey, this is a good idea, they go on, they fade away.
Right.
And so we can be really excited about a goal, and it's like, wait a second here. I'm not feeling it anymore, right?
That's so true.
And so once we have that feeling of, and we know this is what we want, we have to understand that excitement is not going to last forever. We have to constantly work on that and create moments where it's like, oh yeah, this is working. Oh yeah, this is really what I want to do. And same in relationships. I realized after I studied all of this and put it all together, one of the difficult things in relationships is because you do have that feeling at the beginning, this is good, and it brings you together. But then the emotion has done its job, and we go like, well, I loved you, right? And we have to remember that once an emotion has told us something's good, then it's up to us then to act upon that. And then we can I still do things with my husband that I still enjoy being with him, but I have chosen that, and we renew that feelings. But that's whenever we get together, and then we also have these expectations, right? And so when those are met, and we have emotions that say, well, this is not right. So here you have in relationships, the feeling that this is great is fading away. And you're coming in contact with conflicting expectations. So you have an introduction of negative feelings. It can make for rough relationships, but when you understand what's going on, it's just so much better. It has been such a blessing in our relationship. I cannot say enough of how understanding how I have been created has helped me immensely. And that's where it could help parents, because then it can help you in your relationship. Whenever you see your child doing something, you can understand why they may really like something and not follow through with it, and then help them work through that.
Yeah, that's true. It's understanding the value of choice, the power of choice, because we aren't always going to feel excitement all the time. I mean, our emotions aren't meant to, if we stayed in that state all the time, we'd wear ourselves out. but really to understand, not to be led by your emotions, but to read them and get information from them. And what are they telling us? And then to know that underneath that really is the choice that you make to stay committed to your goals, to stay committed to your relationship, and to stay the course. I know as an entrepreneur, I have to do that all the time because I'm not always super excited, but there's a deep underlying passion that I call, it's like a river underneath. It's like this constant passion to do what I'm doing, but the excitement is not always there. Sometimes there's frustration. Sometimes there's fear. Sometimes there's anxiety that shows up. But I can stop and say, okay, where's that coming from? Why is that happening right now? What am I thinking? And then I come back into that, why am I doing this? That deeper commitment of, I'm doing this for a reason. I'm doing this because I'm called to do it. So you can use that same thing in your relationships, especially parents and teenagers. I know I have one daughter and I taught school. So I grew up in a big family, been around a lot of teenagers in my life. My husband and I used to run a teen center called Straight Street. And we did that for years when we were first married. And so we were around teenagers all the time. And of course, we all know their hormones are raging and they're still developing, and emotions can be high. I remember being so amazed when we were running that teen center about these girls that would be so in love and so crazy about a boy and going through all this emotional drama around this relationship. And then 2 weeks later, you'd see them and they're totally forgotten about it. And now they're moved on to something else. And I'm thinking, yeah, but 2 weeks ago, you caused all this drama and we had to talk you down and we had to work through it with you. And now you're on to something else. And that's just the way it is. These emotions are raging. And so to help teenagers and help parents to help their teenagers to understand all of that and not make decisions based on, the emotion, but to go deeper and to understand what's really important and what's really happening and what it is they really want out of life and who they really are. I mean, that's just extremely powerful. It helps, I'm sure, these young people to not make decisions based on these raging emotions. How many people get married when they shouldn't to the wrong person because of the, raging emotions, and then later realize, oh, whoops.
Or I mean, even getting married and it being a good thing, and naturally, as I was explaining, the feelings fade, and that's not because it wasn't good. It just that is just the way it works.
Yeah, that's the other side, is like marriage is a commitment and a choice every single day to stay married. And in our world with the divorce rate so high, it's probably an indication of people making decisions based on emotions instead of that deeper commitment, right? And my parents were married for 62 years, and there wasn't always roses and unicorns and happy. They went through some real struggles, and they just chose to stay together and chose to continue to love each other. And that's really what love is. Love is not so much an emotion as it is a choice, and it's a person. I mean, God is love, and so we choose to see that person for who they really are, not for the mistakes they're making, because we all make them, right? And we choose to stay committed to, that promise that we made with each other.
Right. And then as a result of that, we create positive experiences, and then you do have those feelings that we want, the feelings that we wish we could have forever, right?
Now, that's really, really a powerful point right there, is that you can create your own emotions. You can create your experience. You can create your life by the choices that you're making. So just as an example, let's say the relationship starts and you have this excitement and then it fades away. Well, then you make the choice to see the good in that person, not their faults, and to continue to love them. Then that creates this other emotion, right, of joy and satisfaction, fulfillment, appreciation. That's such a powerful point to make.
Right. And then the partner would respond accordingly.
Exactly.
And perhaps do something that would naturally help you feel happy. Or in a teenage parent situation, as we approach our children in love, firmness, but love, then they may respond then in a way that feels better to us.
Right.
And it's not easy. I will say that even as I explained this to my children and they understood about emotions, my daughter would still, it's not like the emotions go away, but I know several times she'd be like, "Oh, I'm sorry, Mom." You know, the outburst and the frustration from the rule, or this is the way it is, even if it's not an issue of a rule, it's just like circumstances do not cater to what she's really wanting in the moment. There could be frustration and outburst, but then she'd be like, "Oh, you know, wait a second, I'm sorry, that's not really what I want to be." But again, that's what they're experiencing. You talked about it, the drama. They are feeling these things, and they are very real. And my sister once said something when she was a nanny with kids that were not behaving very well. I am the adult. I am the adult in this. Both of us, right? She and the kids, me as a teacher and the kids are experiencing emotions, but I am the adult. And so that's just a reminder of, yes, we all feel these emotions, and we are the adult to kind of take back the reins and interact appropriately.
And when you were describing your daughter doing what she did, that's an example of how you taught her to have that moment of awareness, you know, and the title of your book, Living Life Awake, being awake, aware of what's happening. And that's such a huge skill that you taught her to enable her to step back. And I always talk about having like a gap. You start to have the reaction, you're aware of it because you've been working on creating awareness. So in that moment, you become aware of, oh, there's that reaction. Wait a minute. Let me step back a second and create a little bit of a gap so that my emotions can calm down and my brain can come back. And that's what you taught her to do. And how powerful is that? You know, I mean, how many people in the world just react and go crazy and stuff happens and it causes damage, really. So that's a huge skill to learn in life. And you don't have to be in your 40s, 50s, 60s before you learn it.
And our emotions truly are real. And one other thing that has made me concerned is because our economy is so different from it's been this way for a while. It's an economy based on want. Our economy, our being used to be based on what people needed for survival. We have most of what we need, if not everything. I mean, shelter, food, clothing. But now people are making money based on what you want. And so, wow, they have to tap into our emotions, and they know how to do that. So we have to be smart enough, brain smart. You got smartphones, smart houses. We need smart brains that says, okay, wait a second. Does this really match with what I really want?
Right.
And it doesn't even have to be destructive physically for us or health. I mean, there are a lot of opportunities out there, and they know how to tap into what we want. And so it's important to be aware of that.
Yes, excellent point. And so I think that what you are offering in this book is super powerful. I'm excited for you. When do you expect it to be released?
In August.
Oh, okay.
That's the plan. August.
Awesome. Very cool. So what can readers expect when they pick up your book?
They can expect that it's based on facts. It's a lot of information there's not a whole lot of stories in there. I purposely wrote it this way, and perhaps I'll find out from readers whether they like it or not. It is just packed full of information to chew on.
Awesome. I like books that have a lot of meat to them and substance. So it sounds wonderful. I'm looking forward to it myself and reading it. Maybe when it comes out, we can have you come back on and talk about results that you're hearing back from people as they read it and things like that. So I know that you have a free little report called 7 Things Your Brain Doesn't Know But Should. And we are going to offer that to anyone that would like to grab it. The link for that will be in the show notes. But what is that all about?
It explains in a nutshell, based on how the brain works, what your brain does not realize and how that can affect your behavior. We've talked about some today, and your brain doesn't know that emotions fade. It just does. You don't think about that, really. You know it, but your brain really doesn't know it. And so there are 7 facts that your brain does not realize that can then change your life once you do realize them.
Awesome.
So that's that is. Yeah, it's a little article.
Okay. It sounds really interesting and very helpful. So listeners, if that's something of interest to you, make sure that you click on that link and grab that. 7 Things Your Brain Doesn't Know But Should. I love the title. So thank you so much for coming on today, Kristen, and sharing your story and your passion around, helping teenagers and their parents to live life awake and to be more in control of what's happening, and just to be, masters of their own journey, basically. And I think it's really important work that you're doing in the world. So thanks for coming on and sharing it with us today.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. And thank you for being a part of my journey, Janelle. Thank you so much for the things that I have learned that have helped me.
Awesome. Well, yeah, before we go, share a little bit about, because I have a course called Fearless Confidence Formula that you participated in, and it will, by the time this podcast airs, it'll actually be running again, but it is accessible to anybody at any time. And then I run it live 3 times a year. And you were in my second one when it was brand new. So tell us a little bit about what you learned in that course that helped you as far as like being confident to speak up about your book and speak up about what you do.
Thank you. Yes, we're always learning. And one of the beliefs that I had about what I knew and what I wanted, I felt was really just for me and my family. And I felt sheepish about sharing that. I did not feel comfortable owning it. And having been a part of your program, I was able to sort through those thoughts and be able to really articulate what it's all about and what it's for, and to get to a point where I felt comfortable bringing it to the world.
That's fantastic. And I know you and I worked a lot on that message of explaining what your book's about and telling the story behind it, which actually you said in your opening today. And that was a message we worked on in my in my program with you. And that's a part of this program, is like, how do you articulate and put it into a 60-second message that you can just share quickly with people when they ask you, like, what do you do, or what's your book about, or whatever. And so it's one of those things that I know a lot of people struggle with, putting it in a format that says a lot in a few words, but captures the attention of people. And also you feel confident sharing. And we came up with this great message. I love it every time I hear it. So congratulations.
Yes. Yeah, that is a product of your program.
Awesome. Well, you were an inspiration to all of us in there, and how you took that and ran with it and are now taking it out to the world. And I'm so excited to see what your book will do, and your passion for, all your knowledge that comes from 20 years is just amazing. So, and having it be focused on teenagers, which I think is super important. We often see these types of things being offered to adults, but not a whole lot to teenagers. And so I think it's super important. If we still had our teen center, we would use your book to help them, but we don't anymore. But anyway, thank you for doing what you're doing and showing up in the world the way that you are, and just for being you. And thank you again for coming on.
Well, can I say one more thing?
Oh, sure.
And then, you were asking about, how it influenced, or how it helped me. And I just want to say to anybody out there that likes to shop a lot and just likes new clothes, let me tell you, it is like being dressed in the best wardrobe ever. I mean, we want to feel good in what we wear. And that is one internal thing that really influenced me. The external is the book and the articulation, something you could see, but inside I just feel so much better. And
wow.
I came from a place where I felt fairly secure because I had been working on these things, but having gone through your program, it was just the final pieces of the wardrobe.
Wow.
I just really, it is totally worth, it is one of the best things that I spent on myself.
Wow. Well, thank you for that. And I'm so glad to hear that. It makes me feel really good because obviously that's why I'm doing this. So
yes.
Yeah. Awesome. All right. Well, thank you again for coming, Kristen. And thank you, ladies, for taking your time out of your day to listen to this episode. I hope that it was encouraging for you. And as always, until next time, be confident, be real, and be you. I hope you enjoyed that episode and got a lot out of it that will help you on your journey to becoming fearlessly confident. If you would like to know how to work with me to help you to become fearlessly confident, just email me, Janelle at emerginglifecoaching.com. You can also go to my website. There's lots of great resources on there, including a free mini course called Be Confident, Be Real, Be You. It's a 3-video course with downloadable action guides that will definitely help you to get on this journey to becoming fearlessly confident. My website is emerginglifecoaching.com. Thanks for listening, and until next time, be fearless, be confident, and be you.